Have you ever just looked at someone and thought, how do they do that? How do they get these incredible results, but they make it look so easy, almost like they're not even trying? Well, today we're going to unlock an ancient secret that explains exactly that. It's a kind of mastery that works invisibly to create massive impact. Let's dive in. So let's start with a puzzle. Picture this. What if the best, most secure lock in the world had no bolt, no key, no combination, nothing to physically lock it? How could that possibly be secure? It sounds like a complete riddle, right? And what about this one? What if the strongest connection, the most unbreakable bond, didn't need a rope? No contracts, no strict rules holding it all together? It's an idea that totally flips how we normally think about strength and control. Now, these aren't just some clever philosophical questions to ponder. They're actually pieces of an ancient puzzle. And once you solve it, it gives you this profound new way of operating, even in our crazy modern world. Because yeah, these aren't just riddles, they are blueprints. Blueprints for a kind of mastery that's been almost forgotten. One that doesn't rely on brute force or grinding effort, but on elegance, on intelligence, and on just flow. So how do we actually unlock this? Well, it breaks down into 4 core secrets. Let's go through the code, one principle at a time, and you'll see just how much it applies to our world today. Okay, secret number 1. Perfect action leaves no trace. Just think about using Apple Pay. You tap your phone and that's it. It's so smooth, so intuitive, you completely forget about the insane amount of complex engineering happening in the background. It just works. And that's the pinnacle. Action's so effective, it becomes invisible. Secret number 2. Perfect speech has no flaws. Now, this isn't about being some flawless, polished speaker. It's about communication that actually heals and connects, instead of creating friction. You know, like a really skilled diplomat who walks into a super tense situation, they don't win by crushing the other side, they win by building a bridge of empathy so nobody walks away feeling like they lost. The resolution is what matters, not winning the argument. And here we are, back to that unbreakable lock. This is the 3rd secret. A perfect lock needs no bolt. The modern version of this? Think cutting-edge cybersecurity. It's not about just adding more and more patches to a broken system. No, it's about building a system that is inherently secure from its very core, like self-healing encryption that protects itself. It's secure by design, not by force. And the 4th secret is that the perfect knot needs no rope. How do you really bind a team together? It's not with thick handbooks of rules and intimidating contracts. You do it with trust. Think about a company culture that's built on real trust and a shared mission. That bond is so much stronger and more adaptable than any rulebook could ever be. You see the pattern here? All of these secrets, they all point to the same core idea. True mastery works like an invisible force. It's not loud, it's not aggressive, it's quiet, it's elegant, and it's incredibly powerful. Kind of like gravity, holding entire planets in orbit without a single visible string or bolt. And when you put all these principles together, they create something even bigger, what we can call the no-waste mindset. This is all about training yourself to see potential and value where most people just see junk. This ancient text says it so perfectly. A master with this mindset doesn't just recycle cans and bottles. They see the inherent value in everything and everyone. Nothing is disposable. No one is disposable. And you see this play out everywhere. In business, it's the choice to invest in upskilling your current employees instead of just firing and hiring. In your own life, it's mentoring someone to help them find their potential or finding a new use for an old object instead of just tossing it. It's a huge shift away from a throwaway culture. So the standard approach sees a broken thing or an underperforming person as a burden to get rid of. But this wiser approach, it sees them as raw material. A problem isn't a roadblock. It's the actual fuel you need for innovation and growth. And that brings us to this really fascinating paradox. This idea that our mistakes, our failures, and even people who are totally inexperienced can actually be our greatest mentors. We usually think of learning as a one-way street, right? The expert teaches the beginner. And of course, that's vital. A senior developer mentoring a junior is absolutely crucial. But here's the other side of the coin. The unskilled provide a lesson too. A startup that fails isn't just a waste. It's an incredibly valuable lesson that reveals a hidden truth about the market. You need both. Both are essential for any real growth. And the warning here is pretty stark. If you're too proud to learn from the expert, or you're too arrogant to see the lesson in a failure, you're just gonna stay stuck. This wisdom is a reminder that even the absolute smartest person on earth will stay lost if they can't value both the teacher and the lesson. Okay, so this all sounds really profound and interesting, but how do you actually use it? How do you put it to work in your real life? Well, here's a practical action plan. Here are 4 steps you can take, like right now. First, start doing that traceless work by automating the boring, routine stuff to free up your mind. Second, in a conflict, stop asking who's to blame and start asking, hey, can you help me understand your perspective? Third, lead with trust, not with surveillance. Build those bolt-free systems. And finally, start treating every single complaint and every failure not as a problem, but as free R&D. I know what you might be thinking. This is a nice philosophy, but come on, does this ancient stuff actually work in today's competitive, data-driven world? It's a totally fair question. And you know what? The modern data is, well, it's pretty stunning. Remember that no wasted people idea? Well, it turns out that inclusive teams that genuinely value every single member, aren't just nicer places to work. They are a staggering 35% more profitable. That's not just a small bump, that is a massive competitive advantage. And what about that effortless action we talked about? You probably know it by its modern scientific name, being in a flow state. When researchers looked at executives operating in this state of deep focus, they found their productivity wasn't just up a little bit, it was up to 500% higher, 5 times more effective, just by working in a state of effortless, focused flow. So in the end, it really all comes back to this one powerful idea. The true master doesn't need to use force. They don't need to push and shove their way through the world. They have a different kind of power. They know how to turn things others see as flaws into their greatest fuel, and how to turn what others call waste into deep wisdom. So I'll just leave you with this one question to think about. Look around at your own world, your work, your life, that frustrating project, that difficult relationship, that failure that still stings a little. Where is there something you've been labeling as waste that might just be wisdom in disguise?